In a world where approval is currency, where rejection stings like failure, and where comparison quietly steals away happiness, it's easy to lose control of your own power without even realizing it. Have you ever felt like someone else dictates how you feel, like your confidence depends on what they say or do? Have you caught yourself measuring your worth through the lens of others, feeling lifted by their praise and shattered by their disapproval? Imagine waking up one morning and none of that mattered. Imagine moving through life with an unshakable confidence, untouched by criticism, free from the need for validation, grounded in a strength that no one could take away from you. What if, instead of constantly handing over control of your emotions, you could reclaim your power and live without hesitation or fear? Think of it like holding a glass of water. If your grip is weak and someone bumps into you, the water spills out, making a mess. But if you hold that glass with steady hands, no one can shake it from you. The same goes for your inner strength. When you truly take control of it, no outside force can spill it. Yet so many people go through life unaware that they're giving this power away, letting external forces shape how they feel, what they believe about themselves, and how they live. But the truth is, no one can take from you what you do not offer. No one has power over you unless you hand it to them. It starts with validation, one of the greatest illusions of control. From the time we are young, we are taught to seek approval, a kind word from a parent, a gold star on a test, a nod of recognition from a friend. As we grow, this need for validation doesn't fade, it simply shifts forms. Social media likes, compliments at work, admiration from peers. We crave proof that we are enough. But what happens when that validation doesn't come? When the compliments stop, when the praise fades, when the approval is withheld? Does your worth disappear with it? That is the danger of relying on others to confirm your value. It puts your sense of self in their hands. But real confidence, lasting confidence, is built from within. Imagine shifting your focus from "do they like me" to "do I like myself?" A small shift, but a powerful one. When you validate yourself, external approval becomes just a bonus, not a necessity. And then there's criticism, one of the most powerful forces that shape how people see themselves. Words can build and words can destroy, but only if you let them. The mistake most people make is treating all criticism the same, giving equal weight to every opinion, allowing unkind words to burrow into their minds and plant seeds of doubt. But not all criticism is meant to help. There is feedback that sharpens, that guides, that comes from a place of wisdom. And then there is criticism born from insecurity, from jealousy, from the need to bring others down. If you take in every negative word as truth, you allow others to shape your identity. But what if instead you filtered it? Imagine pausing before reacting, asking yourself, is this criticism meant to help me grow, or is it simply noise? If it is useful, take it as a tool for improvement. If it is not, let it pass like a breeze through an open window, acknowledged but not held onto. Boundaries are another way people unknowingly give away their power. A life without boundaries is a life dictated by the needs and desires of others. Many hesitate to set them, fearing they will seem selfish or unkind. But boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are fences that protect what is valuable. They tell the world, this is how I expect to be treated. Without them, your time, energy, and emotional space are open to be taken, drained, and used without your permission. But when you set clear boundaries, and more importantly, enforce them, you reclaim your life. People may resist at first, especially if they have grown accustomed to overstepping, but over time, they learn. And more importantly, you learn. You learn that protecting your peace is not selfish, but necessary. Then comes rejection, perhaps one of the most feared experiences in life. To be rejected is to feel unwanted, unworthy, not enough. But rejection is not a reflection of your value. It is simply a redirection, a shift away from something that was not meant for you toward something that is. Imagine a closed door not as a loss, but as an arrow pointing toward another path, one you may not have considered, but one that might hold something greater. If every rejection is seen as a sign of failure, you will hesitate to take risks, to step forward, to try. But if rejection is seen as a teacher, as a lesson in resilience, then it loses its power to break you. No single no defines your worth. No missed opportunity is the end of the road. The only way rejection has power over you is if you let it stop you. And then there is the illusion that others control how you feel. How often do people say, "They made me angry," "She ruined my day," or "He upset me"? In those moments, power is handed over freely, as if emotions are dictated by the actions of others. But here's the truth. No one can control how you feel. People can say or do things that trigger a reaction, but the choice of how you respond is always yours. Imagine recognizing this in real time when faced with an insult, a moment of frustration, a situation that could spiral into anger. Instead of reacting, there is a pause, a moment to decide, do I let this control me or do I choose my own response? This is not about ignoring emotions or pretending things don't affect you. It's about reclaiming the ability to process emotions in a way that serves you, rather than allowing them to be dictated by someone else's actions. Comparison is another thief of power. It creeps in quietly, turning admiration into jealousy, inspiration into self-doubt. Social media amplifies this, showing carefully curated highlights of other people's lives, making it easy to believe that others are happier, more successful, further ahead. But comparison is an illusion. It focuses only on the visible, ignoring the struggles, the failures, the hardships hidden beneath the surface. Imagine instead of measuring yourself against others, you measured yourself only against who you were yesterday. Instead of envying someone else's success, you let it inspire you, proving that achievement is possible. When you stop chasing someone else's path and start embracing your own, you take back your power. And perhaps the most important lesson of all, self-approval. The ability to look in the mirror and know without doubt that you are enough, regardless of what anyone else thinks. It is easy to seek reassurance from the outside world, to look for signs that you are doing well, that you are accepted. But external approval is fleeting. One moment it is there, the next it is gone. If your worth is tied to it, then you will always be at its mercy. But when self-approval is built from within, nothing can shake it. Imagine waking up each day knowing, without needing anyone else to confirm it, that you are valuable, that your voice matters, that you are whole just as you are. That is power, the kind of power no one can take from you. In the end, taking back your power is not about control over others. It is about control over yourself. It is about standing firm in who you are, unshaken by opinions, criticism, rejection, or comparison. It is about choosing your own emotions, setting your own boundaries, walking your own path. It is a daily practice, a choice made in small moments, moments that over time transform not only the way you see yourself, but the way you experience life itself. And once you reclaim that power, you will never give it away again. From the moment we wake up, the world begins pulling at us. Messages demand attention, expectations weigh heavily, and the opinions of others creep in before we've even had a chance to steady ourselves. Without realizing it, we start handing over control, allowing outside forces to shape how we feel, what we believe, and how we move through the day. But what if that changed? What if, instead of reacting to everything around you, you held firm, steady in your own power, untouched by the shifting tides of approval and rejection? It begins with recognizing where you are giving your power away. Seeking validation is one of the most common ways people lose themselves. It seems harmless at first, a simple desire to be liked, to be accepted. But over time it becomes a silent cage, where every decision is measured against the possible approval or disapproval of others. A word of praise lifts you up. A moment of criticism drags you down. Happiness becomes dependent on external forces, shifting unpredictably like the wind. But imagine a different kind of confidence, one that is not swayed by the moods or opinions of others. Imagine no longer needing permission to feel worthy, no longer looking outside yourself for confirmation of your value. This is the power of self-approval, of knowing deep within that you are enough, regardless of what anyone else says or thinks. And then there is criticism, a force that has shaped people for generations, sometimes guiding them toward growth, other times burying them under the weight of doubt. Not all criticism is equal, yet most people absorb it all, allowing even the most unkind words to take root in their minds. But what if you could filter it? Imagine a moment of pause before reacting, a quiet consideration. Is this meant to help me grow, or is it simply meant to tear me down? If it is constructive, use it as a tool. If it is destructive, let it pass, refusing to carry the weight of someone else's negativity. This shift in perception transforms criticism from something that wounds to something that strengthens. A mind that is able to differentiate between guidance and harm is a mind that remains in control. Another invisible way power is given away is through the lack of boundaries. Without clear limits, other people dictate how your time, energy, and emotions are spent. The fear of disappointing others keeps you saying yes when you mean no, stretching yourself thin in an attempt to be everything for everyone. But setting boundaries is not about pushing people away. It is about protecting what is valuable. Imagine having a clear line that says, "This is what I will accept, and this is what I will not." Imagine enforcing that line, not out of anger, but out of respect for yourself. The world will not always like it. Some will push, some will test. But when you remain firm, you send a message, not just to others, but to yourself. A message that says, I matter, my time matters, my peace matters. And when that message is truly believed, no one can take it from you. Rejection is another force that has the power to shake even the strongest of minds. To be turned away, to be told no, to feel unwanted, it stirs something deep, something primal. But rejection is not an ending, it is a redirection. Imagine seeing it not as a loss, but as a signpost guiding you to something better. A job that didn't work out may have been leading you toward a better opportunity. A person who walked away may have been making space for someone more aligned with your path. Every rejection carries a lesson, but only if you are willing to see it. Instead of asking, "Why wasn't I enough?" ask, "What is this teaching me? What door is opening that I have not yet seen?" The moment rejection loses its ability to define you, it also loses its ability to control you. But perhaps the greatest shift in reclaiming power comes from taking responsibility for emotions. Too often, feelings are placed in the hands of others. They made me angry. She ruined my mood. He upset me. These statements suggest that emotions are something handed to you, something controlled by those around you. But the truth is, no one has the power to dictate how you feel unless you give it to them. Imagine the freedom of realizing this, that no matter what someone else says or does, your emotions remain yours to control. A rude comment, an unfair judgment, an act of disrespect. These things may happen, but they do not have to own you. You can acknowledge them, process them, and then decide, do I let this affect me, or do I choose to rise above it? This shift is not about ignoring emotions, but about mastering them, choosing how to respond rather than simply reacting. And then there is comparison, the silent thief of joy. In a world where everyone's best moments are displayed for all to see, it is easy to fall into the trap of measuring your worth against others. Their success becomes a reminder of where you have not yet arrived, their happiness a reflection of what you think you are missing. But comparison is an illusion. It is built on incomplete stories, on carefully chosen highlights that do not reveal the struggles beneath. Imagine instead focusing only on your own progress, measuring your growth not by the achievements of others, but by who you were yesterday. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory, and the more you recognize this, the less you feel the need to chase someone else's timeline. At the heart of all of this is self-approval, the ability to stand in front of a mirror and say, I am enough, without needing anyone else to confirm it. This is not arrogance, it is freedom. The moment you stop seeking external validation is the moment you take back your power. It is the moment you stop waiting for permission to feel good about yourself. Reclaiming your power is not about becoming untouchable. It is not about shutting out the world or refusing to listen. It is about choosing which voices matter, choosing where your energy goes, choosing how you respond to life. It is about recognizing that while you cannot control what happens around you, you can always control what happens within you. Each day, each interaction, each thought is a chance to reinforce this strength. A moment to decide, do I let this shape me, or do I remain steady? Do I give away my power, or do I hold on to it with both hands? The more you practice, the stronger you become, and one day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and feel it. A quiet, steady confidence that no one can take from you. A deep knowing that you are in control, not just of your emotions, but of your entire life. And once you reach that place, you will never hand that power over again. There is a quiet strength in knowing that no one controls you, not their words, not their opinions, not their approval or rejection. Most people move through life unconsciously, handing over pieces of themselves, allowing others to dictate their emotions, their self-worth, their sense of purpose. But imagine stepping away from that cycle. Imagine waking up and realizing that you are the one who decides how you feel, how you respond, and how much space someone else's opinion is allowed to take in your mind. This is what it means to reclaim your power, to no longer be swayed by forces outside yourself, but instead to move with the kind of certainty that comes from deep within. It begins with recognizing the traps that steal power without you even noticing. Seeking validation is one of the most deceptive. It disguises itself as connection, as a natural desire to be liked, to be seen, to be appreciated. But when validation becomes a requirement instead of a preference, the power shifts. Your happiness is no longer your own. It depends on the reactions of others, the way they look at you, the way they respond, the approval or disapproval in their tone. It all begins to shape how you see yourself. But what if it didn't? Imagine no longer needing confirmation from others to know you are enough. Imagine waking up each day and knowing without question that your value does not rise or fall based on how others perceive you. That is real power, the kind no one can take away. But as powerful as validation can be, criticism is often even stronger. Words once spoken have a way of lingering, of embedding themselves into the mind, replaying over and over until they feel like truth. Someone questions your ability, and suddenly you doubt yourself. Someone dismisses your efforts, and suddenly your accomplishments feel smaller. But not all criticism deserves space in your mind. Imagine filtering it, holding up each word and deciding, does this serve me? Is this meant to help me grow, or is it meant to bring me down? The moment you learn to separate constructive criticism from meaningless negativity is the moment you take back control. Growth is important, but not every opinion is worth absorbing. Some words are simply noise, meant to distract, to weaken, to pull you away from your path. But when you choose what to listen to, when you decide whose words hold weight, you are no longer at the mercy of others. You are in command of your own mind. Setting boundaries is another act of reclaiming power. Without them, your time, your energy, and your emotions are left open for anyone to take. People will demand more than you can give, assume access to you at all times, and expect you to accommodate their needs without considering your own. And if you have no boundaries, you will say yes when you mean no. You will allow others to drain you, and you will lose pieces of yourself in the process. But boundaries are not selfish. They are not cruel. They are necessary. Imagine drawing a line, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. A line that says, this is what I am willing to give, and this is what I am not. Some will not like it. Some will push against it. But when you hold firm, something shifts. Not just in how others treat you, but in how you treat yourself. The world learns to respect those who respect themselves. And the moment you begin enforcing your own boundaries is the moment you reclaim the energy that has been slipping away for far too long. Rejection is another place where power is often lost. To be told no, to be turned away, to feel like you were not chosen, it stirs something deep, something painful. But rejection is not the end of the story. It is not proof of inadequacy. It is not a sign that you are unworthy. It is simply redirection, a moment where life adjusts your course in ways you may not yet understand. Imagine shifting your perspective, not seeing rejection as failure, but as a closed door guiding you toward the right one. A lost opportunity is not always a loss. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is an unseen force moving you towards something better. And the moment rejection loses its ability to shake you, it also loses its ability to control you. But perhaps the most powerful shift comes from realizing that no one, not a stranger, not a friend, not a boss or a family member, has the ability to control your emotions unless you give them that power. How often do people say, "They made me angry, she ruined my day, he upset me"? These statements place emotions in the hands of others, as if they are puppeteers pulling the strings of your mind. But what if that wasn't true? Imagine realizing in every moment that your response is yours to control, that someone can say something rude, dismissive, even cruel, and still you decide how you feel about it. Does it get inside your mind, or does it bounce off, unable to touch the place within you that remains steady? This is not about pretending things don't affect you. It is about choosing how much power they are allowed to hold. A person with true strength is not unfeeling. They are simply in control of what they allow to shape them. And then there is comparison, the silent thief of joy. Social media, conversations, passing glances at the lives of others. It all feeds into the illusion that you are somehow behind, that you are not doing enough, that others have what you lack. But comparison is a false measuring stick. It is incomplete. It shows only the highlights, the surface, the polished moments without the struggle beneath. Imagine letting it go. Imagine measuring success not by what others have done, but by how much you have grown. Imagine recognizing that your path is yours alone, and that to compare it to someone else's is to compare two completely different journeys. When you focus on your own growth, when you measure yourself only against who you were yesterday, the need to compete, to chase, to feel behind disappears. And with it, another piece of your power is reclaimed. At the core of all this is one lesson: self-approval, the ability to stand firmly in who you are without needing external confirmation, the ability to say, "I am enough," without waiting for someone else to say it first. The world will always have opinions. Some will praise you, some will doubt you, some will admire you, and others will try to tear you down. But none of it matters if you are unshaken in your own worth. Taking back your power is not a single moment. It is a practice, a decision made over and over again, in the small moments where life tests you, a moment where you choose not to react to every opinion, a moment where you enforce a boundary, even when it's uncomfortable, a moment where you accept rejection not as failure, but as redirection, a moment where you choose to own your emotions rather than letting someone else control them, a moment where you stop chasing someone else's timeline and focus on your own. And then one day, you wake up and something is different. The weight you used to carry, the need for approval, the fear of rejection, the habit of comparison, has lifted. You feel lighter, stronger, more certain. The words of others no longer define you. The opinions of the world no longer control you. You move through life with a quiet confidence, a deep-rooted knowing that your worth is yours to decide. And once you reach that place, you will never give that power away again. There comes a point in life where you realize that no one else is responsible for your happiness, your confidence, or your sense of worth. It is a realization that shifts everything. A turning point where you stop looking outward for approval and instead turn inward, knowing that the only validation that truly matters is your own. Most people never reach this place because they are caught in a cycle of external dependence. They seek approval, they fear rejection, they allow criticism to shape them, they compare themselves endlessly. But imagine breaking free from all of that. Imagine walking through life with the kind of self-assurance that does not waver, the kind of strength that does not break under pressure, the kind of peace that cannot be stolen. This is what it means to take back your power. It starts with control over emotions. How often do people say, "They made me angry," "She ruined my day," "He upset me"? These statements give away power without a second thought. They assume that emotions are not choices, but reactions controlled by outside forces. But imagine what happens when you take ownership of your emotions. Someone criticizes you. You decide whether their words define you. Someone rejects you. You determine whether that changes how you see yourself. Someone tries to provoke you. You choose whether to engage or to remain steady. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that things don't affect you. It is about refusing to let external circumstances dictate your inner world. A mind that is trained to hold its own power is a mind that remains calm, even in chaos. And then there is comparison, one of the most subtle but powerful ways people give up their strength. Social media makes it worse, feeding the illusion that everyone else is ahead, that their lives are more exciting, their successes more meaningful. But comparison is built on illusion. You see someone's success, but you do not see their failures. You see their confidence, but you do not see their insecurities. You see their happiness, but you do not see their struggles. Imagine, instead of looking outward and measuring yourself against others, you measured yourself only against who you were yesterday. Imagine realizing that your only competition is the person in the mirror, and that true success is not about being better than someone else, but about growing into the best version of yourself. The moment you stop looking sideways and start focusing forward, you take back the power that comparison has stolen from you. Another way people lose their power is by constantly explaining themselves. They justify their choices, their beliefs, their actions, trying to convince others that they are worthy. But imagine living a life where you no longer felt the need to explain. where you simply moved forward with confidence, knowing that not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to approve of you. Not everyone needs to agree with you. The right people will see your worth without you having to prove it. And the wrong people? Their opinions do not matter. The more you live by your own standards rather than seeking approval, the more power you reclaim. Rejection is another illusion that traps people in self-doubt. To be turned away, to hear no, to feel unwanted, it shakes people at their core. But rejection is not a statement of your worth. It is a redirection, a sign that something was not meant for you. Imagine never taking rejection personally again. Imagine seeing it as life guiding you towards something better, something more aligned with who you are meant to be. Every no is simply clearing the way for the right yes. When rejection no longer shakes you, it no longer controls you. And when it no longer controls you, you move through life with freedom. But the deepest layer of reclaiming your power comes from self-approval, the ability to look in the mirror and know without question that you are enough, that your worth is not something to be proven, not something to be earned, but something that simply is. Society conditions people to believe that worth is tied to achievement, to appearance, to external validation. But real self-worth comes from within. Imagine reaching a point where no compliment made you feel higher and no criticism made you feel lower, where you remained steady in your sense of self, regardless of what the world said. That is real confidence. That is real freedom. Taking back your power is not a single act. It is a daily practice. It is the choice to stop reacting and start responding. It is the decision to set boundaries, to say no without guilt, to stop explaining yourself. It is the shift from seeking validation to giving it to yourself. It is the ability to face rejection with resilience, to let go of comparison, to own your emotions fully. Each time you make one of these choices, you strengthen the foundation of your inner power. And over time, it becomes unshakable. One day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and feel it. A quiet confidence, a deep certainty, a steady sense of control over your own life. The words of others will not define you. The opinions of the world will not shake you. You will walk with a strength that is your own, a power that no one can take from you. And when that happens, you will know you have reclaimed what was always yours. There is a moment in life when everything shifts, when you realize that no one is coming to give you permission to feel worthy, to feel strong, to feel whole. No amount of praise, no amount of validation, no external force can grant you the confidence you seek. Because real confidence is not given, it is claimed. And the moment you decide to stop waiting for the world to affirm you, you step into a kind of power that cannot be taken away. But most people never reach this place because they are too caught in the cycle of seeking, of chasing approval, of measuring themselves by standards they never even chose. They let their emotions be dictated by the opinions of others. They shrink themselves to fit into spaces where they are not truly seen. They accept treatment they do not deserve because they fear the discomfort of setting boundaries. But the truth is, every time you compromise yourself for the sake of someone else's approval, you are handing over a piece of your power. Imagine what would happen if you stopped. If you stopped explaining yourself to those who have already made up their minds. If you stopped apologizing for being who you are. If you stopped seeking permission to take up space, to be bold, to be unapologetically you. The world does not give power. It takes it from those who do not realize they already have it. But the moment you recognize that your worth is non-negotiable, that no one else holds the key to your self-respect, everything changes. One of the most important ways to take back your power is to master the art of emotional control, not suppression, not avoidance, but control. Too often people believe that emotions happen to them, that anger, sadness, frustration are things caused by external events. He made me mad. She ruined my day. They made me feel small. But these statements are a lie. No one can make you feel anything unless you allow it. The moment you shift your thinking from "they made me feel this way" to "I am choosing how to respond," you reclaim your power. Imagine someone insults you, trying to get a reaction. Most people would immediately feel anger, humiliation, a need to defend themselves. But what if you didn't? What if you recognized that their words only have power if you give it to them? What if, instead of reacting, you simply observed? What if you let their words pass through you like wind through an open field? That is real control, not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it, the ability to decide what is worth your energy and what is not. And then there is the trap of comparison, one of the biggest thieves of power. It is so easy to look at someone else's life and feel behind, to see their success and feel small, to measure your worth against their achievements. But comparison is always an illusion. You see their highlight reel, not their struggles. You see their confidence, not their self-doubt. You see what they choose to show, not the reality beneath it. Imagine letting go of that illusion. Imagine waking up every morning and focusing only on your own growth, on your own progress. Imagine defining success, not by how you compare to others, but by how much you have evolved from who you were yesterday. The moment you stop competing with the world and start competing only with yourself, you step into a power that no one else can touch. But taking back your power is not just about mindset. It is about action. It is about setting boundaries that protect your time, your energy, your peace. It is about walking away from situations and people that drain you. It is about refusing to settle for less than you deserve, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means standing alone. Imagine being the kind of person who does not tolerate disrespect, not because they are angry, but because they simply know their worth. Imagine knowing that your presence is valuable, and that anyone who does not see that does not deserve access to you. The truth is, people will treat you exactly how you allow them to. If you allow yourself to be disrespected, if you make excuses for those who hurt you, if you stay silent when you should speak up, you are teaching the world that your boundaries are flexible. But when you hold firm, when you make it clear what you will and will not accept, something powerful happens. The world adjusts. The people who do not respect you will fall away, and those who do will rise to meet your standards. And then there is rejection, the fear of not being chosen, of being left behind, of not being good enough. Rejection has broken so many people, not because it is inherently painful, but because they believe it defines them. But rejection is not proof of your inadequacy. It is proof that something was not meant for you. Imagine never taking rejection personally again. Imagine seeing every closed door as a redirection, every no as a signpost pointing you to something better. Imagine trusting that what is truly meant for you will never require you to beg for it, to force it, to shrink yourself to fit into it. When rejection no longer wounds you, it no longer controls you. But the deepest form of taking back your power is learning to approve of yourself. Because if you do not approve of yourself, you will always seek it from others. You will always wait for permission to feel good enough, to feel capable, to feel deserving. But what if you gave that permission to yourself? What if, instead of waiting for someone else to tell you that you are worthy, you simply decided that you already are? Imagine waking up every morning and knowing, without needing anyone else to confirm it, that you are valuable, that your voice matters, that you are whole just as you are. This is not arrogance, it is freedom. The kind of freedom that allows you to move through life without fear, without hesitation, without needing to chase anything outside yourself. Because once you approve of yourself, once you fully accept who you are, the opinions of others become background noise. The highs and lows of external validation no longer affect your foundation. You walk with a quiet confidence, a deep certainty, an unshakable knowing that no one, not a critic, not a stranger, not even someone you love, has the power to take away what you have built inside yourself. Taking back your power is not about becoming untouchable. It is not about shutting yourself off from the world. It is about choice. Choosing what deserves your energy, choosing who has access to you, choosing how you respond, choosing how you see yourself. And when you make those choices consistently, something extraordinary happens. You stop feeling like life is happening to you, and you start realizing that you are the one creating it. And one day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and feel it, that quiet, steady strength inside you. The words of others will no longer define you. The expectations of society will no longer confine you. The fear of rejection, of judgment, of comparison will no longer hold you back. You will walk through life not as someone seeking approval, but as someone who knows deeply and unshakably that they are already enough. And once you reach that place, you will never give your power away again.